You ready? Let's go. 2-minute daily devo for Tuesday, January 31st. I'm in the New International Reader's Version today, and our verse of the day comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 26. Little context here before we get to our verse of the day. Jesus is with his disciples, and all of a sudden a young man comes up to him and asks, "What do I have to do to enter the kingdom of heaven?" And he says, well, you need to obey the commandments, Jesus says. And he says, do not commit murder, do not commit adultery. And the young man says, yeah. And Jesus can understand where this was going. He says, yeah, I've done all that. What else must I do? And Jesus obviously could perceive this man's heart and what his priorities were. And he says this, go sell everything you own, give it to the poor, and come follow me. And the man immediately turns around dejected and walks away. And his disciples, he tells them, it's harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. And his disciples say, well, then who can be saved? In our verse of the day, Jesus answers them with this in verse 26. He says, Jesus looked at them and said, with people this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. You see, here's what Jesus is saying. He is talking about where are our priorities. He obviously knew that this young man's priorities were not with God, that he was just kind of doing what he thought was right and just trying to be good, but without actually giving his whole heart and life to God. That's why when Jesus says, hey, sell all this, come follow me like my disciples have done, and then you'll enter the kingdom of heaven. He couldn't do that because his riches took the place of his relationship with God. They were first and foremost in his life. So God is saying this here. This is how with people it's impossible. You can't just all of a sudden decide I'm gonna give my life to God. But if you say, but with God all things are possible, he's saying this, that if you will give me your life, if you'll serve me, I will take you to the kingdom of heaven. I will make you what you want to be. I will help you become everything that God intended you to be. So I want to encourage you today. Let's be like the disciples, not like this rich young man, where the disciples gave up everything and they decided, I'm going to follow Jesus, because he says this, with God, all things are possible. Where is the intent of our heart? All right, that's it, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.